Hello, hello. Hello and welcome. Having some audio difficulties here, trying to figure out how to throw some music in, but it ain't working. OBS is real fun. So, getting started a little bit early today. Let me know how my sound is if you can hear me. If you cannot, it's going to be problematic. All right. So, the Bears are back in town. Look what's going down. Pretty interesting little turn of events here. Massive sell off yesterday. So, what can we expect? I give people a few minutes just to get on in here. And then we shall begin. All right. Okay. So, sound is working. That's excellent. Let's take a peek at the charts. All right. So, in our Discord group, as of yesterday, I did mention that it was going to be highly unlikely that we revisit these highs. No more all-time highs for this week. And let's just go over this quick. Okay. Now we're going to have. All right. So bear with me here. I'm a little bit of a novice, and that is an understatement. Total beginner on the OBS. All right. So pardon me. Anyhow, moving on. Let's get into this bad boy. So we have a massive sell-off yesterday, and we have come down into this zone here of single prints. Also a golden pocket. We've closed all that imbalance up and moving back up. All right, so this is going to be a very, very big test. What's coming up here? So we've got obviously a local golden pocket here. If we pull this up, we've also got a golden pocket up top here. All right, so that's going to be big. But the first hurdle is going to be getting back over this golden pocket from a reverse pull. All right, so the green pocket that we use. Okay, hold on a second here. What is going on? My screen is frozen. How does this make sense? Voice good, screen frozen. All right. How does this make sense? Okay, that's working. There we go. Just see what's going on here. Yeah, that's very. Okay, so there's screen working now. Pretty weird. Pretty weird. Okay. So just to talk about what I was just going on about and the screen wasn't working, we've come down again into this golden pocket row of single prints here that had already been chewed up, but we just filled in the rest of them. And we get this move back up. So that's good. And now we're going to be running into the exact same problem up in here. We've got a row of single prints there. We've pretty much cleared this row of single prints. So this is going to be a big area here for us to get through. All right, so you might want to mark this down. Okay, big fair value gap, but if you mark it out on the half-hour chart, it will also represent more or less the row of single prints. All right, so big zone there. All right, let's get rid of this real quick. And as you can see, now to get back above this, we're still going to run into some problems up here. We now have a golden pocket up here with an order block. And this is going to be a big zone here from this big sell-off. So if the bears are going to protect anything, this is what they're going to have to protect. This high obviously as well, pretty massive. We got a nice sell-off here as well. But the big one was this this massive just sell-off. So going to be tough getting through this, but I've got faith. I have got the faith. All right, if we go any lower, which is going to be, you know, sort of on the table for today and tomorrow, we've got to think that that might be happening. So it will be very interesting to see how New York opens here. Not exactly sure which way they're going to take it. The one thing that is good news for now is if we get down on the lower time frames, we can make a little more sense of this, is we've got ourselves trading above the close. All right, so here's our previous day's close. All right, and we're trading above that. So good news there, but still not the best news. All right. What we would really love to do now is get above yesterday's open, which is not going to be that easy. All right, so that would be really what we want to see. Now, the bad part about what has happened today is that, again, we swept yesterday's low and then came back into it. So that's going to be a bit tough. Bit tough to get to the previous day's open. And really, we're not going to get to the previous day's high. I mean, I don't see that happening, which is just above the open. All right. So right now we're stuck between hell and high water. All right. Get this marked out here. Okay, so we're definitely not going to go up to, I mean, should never say definitely, but it is highly unlikely that we go up to test this high this week. So right now what we're hoping for is best case scenario that we don't just keep dumping. All right. Form a little range here, maybe come up and start working into these single prints here, end up into this high. That would be the best case scenario. All right, this is our obviously our low of day so far, which was put in during Asia. So this will be a zone here that we have to be very aware of. All right. Let's just get this marked up with an actual Asia range. Okay, so far so good. We're trading above previous day's close. Like I said, we're above the Asia range. So London has kind of held the fort here. All right, so unfortunately, New York might want to come down and put the old reset on all of this. So gonna be pretty challenging today, but hopefully we can just grind our way up and really start working into these zones again. All right. That is the Bitcoin scene. Let's see here. All right. So as far as Bitcoin goes, that's what I'm looking at. All right. You're gonna take it kind of candle by candle here. Will really be dependent on what New York does. And again, I really don't see us going up too high. Once you sweep your previous day's close and the low, which is pretty much the same thing, very similar, you're not going to be coming back up to the previous day's high for the most part. All right, it's a huge probability. So let's see what happens. Should be a good ride for New York. So this might be a very interesting place to look for scalp, somewhere up in this 15-minute order block here, and also again this zone here. So if New York does decide to move it to the upside first and sweep the London highs, could give a potential short day trade or scalp here. Moving on to the NASDAQ, which was just absolutely crushed yesterday. I know that Bitcoin went down 10 grand, but NASDAQ futures down pretty much 800 points, which is insane for the NASDAQ. But wow, what a move. So for the NASDAQ, it's looking a little bit better because we haven't swept the previous day's low, and price seems to be pretty much on the same trajectory as Bitcoin. London opens up, takes the Asia high, comes back into the Asia range, and then the Asia range holds, and now London is moving back up. So it's pretty much looking exactly the same, which I really like, because this was something that was bothering me slightly about Bitcoin, is that the volume was not really coming in that we like to see for extended bull runs, right? And also it wasn't acting right. And what I mean by it wasn't acting right is that when you saw, especially news events coming out, that Bitcoin wasn't really reacting to them as strongly as it does when you've got all of this quote unquote institutional money. So this is a good thing, I believe. If you see Bitcoin acting exactly like the NASDAQ or the S&P, it's a pretty good sign that things are getting ready to roll here, and the institutions are really involved in this now. And I know a lot of people will say the institutions have been involved for a long time, but it's one thing for institutions to be involved. It's another thing for institutional money and big money to start really pushing things around. And when you see this, that's really what we're looking at here. It's not whales, it's not maxis and just crypto guys. It's actually moving like a normal market, right? So very good to see. I really like that. What else do we got here? ETH. So this is that zone that I was talking about. It absolutely crushed it. So that was a bit of a letdown here, but now here we are in that zone once again, and it's just creating more power to the zone. All right. No real great trades off of ETH that I saw coming off of this, but Bitcoin wasn't that difficult to hit that long at the bottom. So what I want to see on ETH now is just how it consolidates and then where it starts to break up, which is really what I'm going to be doing on everything, but ETH especially. Back to Bitcoin. I know I'm flying around here, but that's what we're going to do today. Let's just move it, move it, move it. If we can start to make a good case, like this is not a good look here when we will bring it down to the 5 minute. All right, when we get up into these highs and we just start this consolidation here and then we break to the downside and we put in 2 pushes, all right? So bit of a 2-legged pullback potentially here, but it's not really the kind of 2-legged pullback you want to see. What we would want to see now is like a bit of a deeper pullback into a solid level and then turn around. But we're coming back into this range right now, which is very interesting. So be aware of this consolidation here. This could be the fake out to the bottom, and then we could just start to rip it. Don't think it's going to be overly aggressive, but could get relatively exciting. We do have pretty decent volume kicking in just before the New York pre-market. And now with the New York pre-market, the volume seems to be continuing and looks all good for the upside. All right, so having said all of this, I want to see again if we can break out of this consolidation here and come back and do a retest of it. So this is when you would be looking for that famous pattern. All right, something like so. All right, so break it, come back, retest, and then go. Okay, so actually getting down to the nuts and bolts and starting to look for zones here. There are a couple of interesting facts here. So, oops, let's hop on this. Okay, so that's not perfect, but it's good enough. There we go. Yeah, good enough. Anyways, so we came down here and we took out the 1.141 extension and then reversed. This is not by any means a great sign because we know we might still be looking to come down here and take out this 1618, which would be what a lot of people are interested in, this zone here around 97-ish, 98-ish, something like that. That's a definite possibility, all right? So right now we've got basically 1 push down, 2 pushes down, and this could be the 3rd push down, or this could all be the same push, and we might get a little more to the downside. One of the great things that we did have on this move was huge hidden divs, and we had those on multiple time frames. Get rid of this volume. All right, and it didn't really matter what momentum indicator you were using. We had pretty decent divs here. So let me just move this out. I'm not going to look at that on the 5-minute chart, but on the half hour, you see here we've got big divs, and moving all the way up, you would see big hidden divs here, even up to the daily chart. Okay. There we go. So keeping that in mind, we've also got hidden divs kicking in here, right? And this is again that golden pocket that we were running into there. So not great, but it seems to be holding, and it's holding above Asia. So all right, and if you want to see that golden pocket, pull this from there to here. All right, so we bounced right off the 618 and back down into the Asia high. So might get a little ping pong action here. before moving out of the zone. And it really could go either way. Like, it's not a good look right now. That's what I would say. So let's see if we can start to build up some bullish market structure here on the higher time frame. Good news is that we've already cleared this consolidation as well. So we got a couple good things going for us. Again, don't expect it to go much higher. All right, anyone have any questions? Just throw them on in the comment section. Also, let's smash some likes. Come on. Okay. And link in the Discord. Link to the Discord, sorry, in the chat. Okay. What do we got here? 18 minutes till the open. Poor soul as well. Beating, alts bleeding. When alt season. Yeah. Yeah, when Lambo. Everything is going to be bleeding right now, all right? So this is sort of a pretty common. Everybody's wanting really lower rates, and unfortunately Powell does not come through with the rates. And then he also said some pretty bearish things. So it seems like people are starting to realize how much trouble that the US economy is in. It's not in a good place, and there's a lot of issues that they have to get through. So let's see if they can figure this out. It's going to be tough, man. It's going to be real tough. And I don't think inflation is a story that's over yet either. So everything is going to be bleeding right now. Like if we take a peek here at the market, so this is all stuff open. So you see, like for example, the NASDAQ finished 791 points down yesterday. All right, huge. Look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, 1,000 points. Like everything just took an absolute beating. Here's the big stocks, all just massive beatings. And it's not going to be much different for alts. All right, everything seems to be trying to push up today, but let's see if we got any. Whoa. H bar up 10%. Look at that. MNT up 14. Wow. That is huge. Huge. All right. Let me just see something here real quick. Let me just see something there. All right. All right. So, and the Dixie's down today, so that's good news, hopefully, for everything else. But, let's keep our fingers crossed here. Honestly, this open is going to be very, very interesting. But yes, I was hoping Sol was going to be making a move to break out of this channel. But alas, it did not happen as everything is getting crushed. All right, so when alt season, alt season's already pretty much begun, I would have to say, but there are always going to be these massive pullbacks, right? And if we look at Bitcoin, not too bad, like it's a 10 grand pullback, which is very common for these guys, and that's it. Not a big deal. Really, it's pretty normal, especially on a huge news day like that. People do get a little bit weirded out because the news doesn't seem overly negative, right? It's Fed rates came in as projected, but the market likes to punish the Fed when it doesn't do what it does. So it's just causing a little bit of chaos and panic and reacting this way. Everybody was really hoping for a big cut, as everything seems to be headed in the right direction with inflation, and employment is getting a bit weird. So you really want to protect jobs, but he did not do it. So it's just a little bit of market revenge on the Federal Reserve. Jerome Powell's got to pay the price. And then honestly, he did say a couple of things that started to really kind of convey that they understand the situation is not good. You know, it's not good, especially with the geopolitical stuff happening right now. If Trump does really start trade wars, like America can handle it, but do you want to? That's kind of the problem. You know, you've already got even Canadians are talking crap now about it. So, and that's weird. As a Canadian, I will tell you, when Canadians start talking about revenge on America, it's kind of weird, man. Like, we're usually just like, oh yeah, you're right, sir. Excuse me, pardon me. You know, I hold some memes which dropped 50% from last high. Yeah, that's what happens when you hold memes. That's what happens when you hold the memes. But yeah, business as usual, man, for the meme coins. Don't worry, they should bounce back. Hopefully you're not taking mad losses. So anyhow, what do we got here? 12 minutes. 12 minutes. What else can we look at here? Oh, 1 second here. Okay. Yeah. No. Guys, for any of you in the Discord group, be careful with scammers. Just got a message about a guy impersonating me. So just taking care of that. Pardon me. Okay. So let me just check out what's going on here on the NASDAQ. So after these days too, it's that's 2 days in a row now that my favorite London setup did not appear on the NASDAQ. So that's too bad. But oh well. Let's see here. Yep. Okay. So yep, 2 days in a row now that I haven't hit my my beloved NASDAQ trade because it didn't really present itself the way I generally like to see it. So did not take it, but I have taken 2 relatively small trades, but worked out quite nicely. And this starts to look like they are really beginning to work these highs here. So this looks like a prime spot for maybe a quick sweep and then back down. Let's see how New York treats this open. One thing that I really like having marked out is my my New York pre-market range. All right, so as this starts to move around over the next 10 minutes, just keep an eye on that. And when New York opens, see which way it breaks. Now, I don't think New York will be overly aggressive today, but what I could see happening on the NASDAQ is that New York will start to accumulate. And then tomorrow we might see a big move to the upside to recover all of these, not all of them, but quite a few of the imbalance. Yeah, that's what I'd be looking to see. But again, we haven't swept the previous day's low yet, so that's always a good sign. So there is a lot of room to go to the upside here. It really depends how aggressive New York is going to get. But that is what I would assume that would happen, is that we're going to get more of a consolidation than we will get a huge move today. For Bitcoin, you know, I'm going to move between these two quite a bit. It just looks so similar, right? You've got your 3 pushes, and now you've got your move to the downside. If we can start to form, again, here's that little consolidation zone we were talking about, right? Very important that if we can start to break above this, it's really a good sign that we might be able to start really moving back up here. And that's what I'll be looking for along the way. So whenever we get a little pause, look for the consolidation and price to start coiling up. We might even just put in a little range here, or if New York comes down and starts putting in a higher low and then a lower high and really start just working a trap and a little bit of a triangle, look to exploit that whichever way it decides to start moving, right? Wait for the move, then wait for a pullback, and then look to get on in there. All right. Out here, 8 minutes. 8 minutes. So pretty crazy, man. Crazy stuff here. Euro USD. Pretty interesting. Now, I do believe that Microsoft is going to take a bit of a beating over the next couple months, but I was surprised that it hadn't already started taking a beating. But they're still down pretty nasty in the pre-market, so let's see how that plays out. All right, let's see what the NASDAQ is shaping up here for. So that's a cute little break up there. See if they can keep this up. Really working that. Really working it. Okay. For Bitcoin, I'm just going to check out some obvious support down here now in the Asia session. We do have this, well, that's your previous day's low. Oh. All right, so this is going to be pretty nice zone right here, I would have to say. Fair value gap on a 15-minute. Golden pocket right there. That's if we stay where we are right now. So if price comes barreling into the Asia zone here, this could be a very interesting level for price to turn around off of if New York does not decide to come for the Asia stop hunt. It's a big possibility. So going to be aware of that. And then to the upside is exactly what we've already discussed. That would be my first level of interest. That 0.5 is also going to be pretty relevant. So right here, we've got this mitigated fair value gap here, and it's a bad fair value gap because of this pullback candle here. So it pulled back deeper than 50% of the fair value gap candle. So not a great fair value gap. But it has held once already, so you're starting to build up a little bit of a support resistance story here. And again, the fair value gap is still there, has been mitigated, and it is a bad fair value gap, but it's still there. So let's see what we can get going on with that. But that would be nice. I'd like to see that hit. That'd be real nice. So that would be the way I'm seeing Bitcoin right now for the immediate future. And here goes pre-market putting up a nice big range here, a 70-point pre-market range. Wow. That at once makes it quite exciting and also a little bit on the harder side to look for entries on these big ranges, right? Danger zones for stop losses. Risk management. Must be first and foremost in your mind. All right, so 3 minutes left. The countdown. So the bear party, let's see if it continues or if not. Keep pushing. Pre-market mean in business on the NASDAQ. On the lower time frame, Bitcoin really just consolidating in this zone. Okay. Giving us the same, almost the exact same thing as on Bitcoin fair value gap, but it's already been mitigated. At least it is a good looking fair value gap. Then we've got this order block here. They're not quite done with the range yet, still expanding a little bit. Let's see what happens here. Time is a coming. We got a few seconds left. That should pretty much do it for the opening range, the pre-market range, sorry. And now, release the hounds. There we go. There's the volume kicking in. Oof. See if they're, no, Bitcoin not doing much. New York not doing much on the Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. Yeah, not much of a reaction off Bitcoin. Let's see if New York can put in its opening range relatively quick. First 2 candles. Okay, so we've got the sweep is done of the London high. It was already hit during the pre-market, but now New York has taken out the London high. That's a tough wick there. Look for a little pullback to come in and clear out this wick. Quick to the big. Oh, and there's another hit into the golden pocket. That's the actual first real touch. Bitcoin starting to move it. Nice. Would not be too afraid of this, right? You've got this big candle push up. So now you want to see if it comes back and retest that consolidation, right? Exactly what I was saying. Right? Breaks out, comes back, retests it. So if it can go now, that's a very good sign here. Yeah, they're going. Here we go, back to the NASDAQ. Come on down. Chew back up that nice little wick there. See if they can actually start making a move outside of this opening range. If they do, that's a very, very good sign that we might be pushing on up towards the previous day's open. I don't have marked out. Look at that. Hit this for a second here. All right. Yeah, that would be a crazy run. That I would imagine we leave for Friday. If we do it. Okay. Set up there. Here we go, deep into that golden pocket. So yeah, little consolidation, exactly what I was saying about that. You break above it, you come back, retest it, and then go. So that's a good sign. Too bad that we're pulling that pattern right into a golden pocket, not the best place. Now we get a nice little doji on top there. See how that works out. Let's see now. Let's see if we can break out of this New York opening range here, and which way are we going to break down? This would now, it's setting up for a pretty nice little sweep here of the low, come into that golden pocket, or maybe into this order block, and then turn it back around. I know it's just a 1 minute order block. It's not the best looking place to be looking for a trade, but not bad. So here we go, golden pocket. Oof. It's a little bit of a deeper hit. Pre-market low. Oof. Big move. Check out Bitcoin. Definitely looking like it's rejecting off that golden pocket. But now this can still hold here, all right? So if price can turn around, be looking good, but it does look right now like it's rejecting off that golden pocket. All right, back to the NASDAQ. Let's see this insanity unfold. Coming into the Asia high range there. Pretty decent reaction, but nothing fantastic. So this is going to be a tough one now. You got big fair value gap here. If we start pulling fibs, you're going to have a golden pocket right around the opening range low. All right, so does look like they're setting up for a potential stop here. Now, they've already taken the highs of London. All right, they come back down. So if they're looking for liquidity now, they're going to be looking to run down into the London lows, all right, or at least a London low. So this would be the obvious next one. And then this is your actual London low. To get all the way down to the Asia low, it's pretty far away. Not a big deal for New York. They can definitely do it. But here we go, starting to put in a nice bullish candle there, but it's an inside bar. So nothing that we'd be overly interested in. Just switch back over to Bitcoin real quick. Yeah, not looking good for the bit. Not looking good. Now this is, you know, generally I'd be looking for a long on the NASDAQ today because of the fact that we have not swept the previous day's low, and this might be a great day to look. So this is impossible for me to trade right here, and the reason is this huge fair value gap, and it's going to be very difficult to catch movement on this. All right, like I really don't chase movement that much, but this is pretty rough here. So I'd be looking for price to come in here and reject and work its way down at least into a London low or two. Jane T, hi, fair value gap. What does that mean? Do you want to enter a trade within the fair value gap at some point? Yeah, at some point, you know, what you want to do with a fair value gap is sort of use confluence, right? So you don't just trade on a fair value gap for no reason, not just because there's a fair value gap, but a fair value gap is a 3-bar price action / market structure development. All right, so you have this would be your 3 bars here that you're looking at, right? So you have a down candle, price wicks up, tests the open, and then it aggressively moves away, and it leaves this gap here. Oops. So this is your fair value gap right here. All right, so you can see that this candle wicked down, this candle ripped away, and then this candle wicks up. So it's the space where not one or the other candles have interacted with on one candle. All right, so there's your 3 candles, and there's your fair value gap. So yeah, you know, they're very interesting. It's not something you just trade for no reason. But if you pay attention to fair value gaps, they'll tell you a lot about how the market is moving. So something like this is kind of expressing to us that price is looking for liquidity from the downside. It's taken out this low, it's taken out this low, so it's already gotten some, and it might be turning back around to move, right? And now we're starting to potentially disrespect this fair value gap. So It's showing you that the bears aren't really in charge. This is just a bit of a New York open move. All right. So the first half hour of New York, it can be very, very volatile, and they'll either squeeze price into a very tight range and then rip out, or they'll start kind of creating these relatively psychotic swings that don't really get respect, right? But so if you were not during the first half hour of New York, and let's say you take this a golden pocket, for example, inside of a fair value gap and a 0.5, you know, when price comes to it, you look for reaction. You can look to trade off of that. Oh, I did not want to do that. This is what I wanted to do. So that's what it is. And it's also something that you generally don't trade on a single time frame, right? So if I was to trade fair value gaps on the 1 minute chart, I would be finding them on the 15-minute chart. So for example, something like this. All right, here's your fair value gap. And then I would bring it down to the 1 minute chart. And on the 1 minute chart, I would start looking for some sort of reason to trade this. All right, so you can see here you've got a fair value gap on the 1 minute chart. So now you've got a fair value gap and a fair value gap. Price comes in, hits it, pushes away. If honestly I was being very aggressive, I would look to trade that right off the bat, but that's also not really the way you're supposed to trade them. So price moves away from it, and then you create a fair value gap here. And that's really where you're looking to get in on the trade, because now the fair value gaps to the upside are telling you that we're potentially hunting liquidity. So going for a high up here, you wait for the pullback into it, and then you get in and you go grab your liquidity, take your profit, and get the hell out. So something like that. But there's quite a bit to know about fair value gaps. There's different types of fair value gaps. There's ugly fair value gaps. There's beautiful fair value gaps. Yeah, I have a video if you want. I believe it's called Fair Value Gaps. I can't remember what it's called, but it's in my market structure series, all about fair value gaps. It's pretty long. It's a long video, but fair value gaps deserve a couple hours of video. And it's only, I believe, like about 40 minutes long or so. So it's definitely not complete. It's not a complete explanation of fair value gaps and how they work, but nonetheless, it ain't bad. Bitcoin. Yeah. Oof. Back into the Asia range we go. So now this is going to be a big zone here. Okay, yeah, anytime, Jane T. No pill. Oh, no pill. My sweet no pill. Good to see you. Da, 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 da. Here. It's only a 1 minute order block, but it did hold. And now I can hear Sos in the back of my mind saying, breaker block. Oh, I made no pill blush. Okay. Got a feeling Bitcoin ain't done. Holy Killer 43. Wow. That's what I really wanted to ask. Is that a breaker block? Yeah, it might be. It might be. So, but it's only a 1 minute, right? So, yeah. Here's your order block. Broke broke structure, left fair value gap. Price comes into it. Great trade. Now we've ripped through it. Price might come back up and test it. And if it holds, then it's, yeah. So right now it's a potential breaker block. Could be a breaker block. This could also be a breaker block right here. All right. So let's see. I'm almost starting. Holy Killer is making me feel like I'm almost psychic right now. But I assure you I'm not. That's why I consult my astrologist every morning. All right, let me take a quick peek back here at my baby NASDAQ, see what we're pulling off here. All right, so we got a little bit of a reset W potentially happening here. Doesn't make too much sense. But it is the first half hour, so it's just the typical washing machine New York Open. Just wrecking people. Get in, get out. Do not stick around for long during the New York Open. That would be my advice to you. Really, I don't see a great trade here that I would have taken, but this would have been not bad right here. Again, off of that wick there, right? You'd be expecting it to come in and do some damage, and then when this candle starts to turn around, that would have been a really nice scalp there. 30 points in a minute. Wow. And now the 15-minute OB on 2 o'clock became a breaker block that had a nice hit. Northling's in the house. What's going on, Northling? 2 o'clock candle. My 2 o'clock or your 2 o'clock? Is there any rule of thumb on what time frame to use when marking OB? Yeah, I know BTC, but 2 o'clock GMT time or 2 o'clock 2 o'clock my time, your time, so 3 o'clock my time. I'm hoping. In the AM, okay. So 2 o'clock your time is 1 o'clock my time. I think that means I'm memorizing people's bloody time zones. That's not what my brain wants. Okay, 15 minutes. I believe this would be the one you were speaking of, sir. Order block, breaker block. Very nice. Look at that. Right into the box, baby. Yeah, very nice. And now it's coming back into it. Yeah, very nice. Okay, any rule of thumb on what time frame to use when making order block? There is no rule of thumb per se, but order blocks is that same sort of thing as fair value gap. So what you would want to do, for example, on this, so again, we'll just mark this out real quick. Okay, so you mark it out on the 15-minute. I know most decent traders that I know that like the order blocks don't use anything under 15 minutes, all right? I will use them on very low time frames if I find a reason to be looking for a trade on them, right? So if there's anything there, like if there's a point of control of golden pocket, EMAs, things like that, and I see that there's an obvious order block there on a low time frame, then I'll look at it, all right? But general rule of thumb, you're gonna, let me just clean this up a little bit here, hide some stuff. Nope, that's not what I wanted to hide. Everything else. Okay, so you've got an obvious order block here. It's aggressive, it leaves fair value gaps, it breaks structure, and then price turns around very aggressively. You know, this is sort of a sign here for me that I wouldn't be looking to trade this as a order block, but what you're going to do then is go down on the lower time frames, maybe the 5 minute, maybe the 1 minute, maybe the 3 minute. So we'll just take it down to the 1. All right, so price comes up, and again, saving grace price action is, honestly. So you have two consecutive candles here with shaved tops. And even on this, look at that, that's just ridiculous. So it's just buying, right? It's a tiny little pullback, buying. You get a shaved top coming into the box, man, it's a bit of a questionable thing. So that's looking very strong. I would not take that trade personally. And then there's really no reaction, right? That's the big part about this, is that there is no reaction. So then when price moves away from it, if you're looking to trade it as a breaker block, it doesn't have to come into the box. It can just come somewhere into the order block, right? So in this case, you've got a nice little, it's just a cute little normal candle there. And then you get this hammerish looking engulfing. So that's a great sign for you to get in on. And then when it actually comes back into the box, it's a little bit different. But you do get a, so it's a very, very strange little lop here, low inflection point. But the candle that breaks it is, again, shaved top. So that's just buying from open to close, straight up buying. And then you leave that fair value gap there potentially. You wait for a little pullback into it, and then when price starts going, you hop on in. So yeah, if you're looking at a 15-minute order block, then you go down a time frame, 3 minute, 1 minute. If you're trading a 1 hour order block, you're going to be looking for 15-minute sort of reactions. If you're trading the 4 hour, then you look for the 1 hour. If you're trading a daily, then you look for anywhere from a 4 hour to a 1 hour, that sort of thing. But what I would recommend is to like reduce it as much as you can. So refine it, not reduce it. So if you find it on the 15-minute, you know, order block, then you come down here, you see that there's a fair value gap here. It's held as support, broke, held as resistance, broke. You get another fair value gap here. So you're going to be looking for other order blocks here. This is a nice sign as well here. You've basically got a rally base, kind of a rally, not great, but again, you see it stalls out, breaks it, holds as support, breaks away. So when it starts to come back into it, you have a little more information than it's just a potential breaker block, right? It's already held as support, so it can help you kind of stay safe in the future. All right, hope that helps. Hope that helps. Let's take a look at my sweet NASDAQ. Oh yeah. Working into the London opening range now. So that's going to be a sticky point. Going to be weird if they don't come down and sweep a London low. You've come all this way, New York. May as well sweep something. Retest of the New York pre-market low. Awesome, that is very clear. Excellent, good to hear. Yeah, and rules of thumb too, like what I would suggest about rules of thumb is when you learn a rule of thumb in trading, don't take it as gospel. That can oftentimes be the killer of creativity, right? If somebody says this is how you mark out an order block and this is how you trade them in terms of time frames, you know, you might get stuck on stuff. If you just start playing around with things, you'll find that the best way to use anything is a way that you can find that you just say, holy crap, look, this is, you know, and then you can share it with somebody, see what they think, you know, and if you're both amazed by it, then it will become something that is now yours. It's not going to be like you're trading some Yahoo on YouTube's method of trading an order block, right? So That's what I recommend for everything, really. You know, anything that you're looking at, like you got to make it make sense to you. So you learn the rules of thumb. That's fine, right? Because we all have to start somewhere, and then start thinking outside the box with it, right? Break the barriers. Rules of thumb. That was for grinding flour, I believe. That's where that expression comes from. So think about that. You know, there was a rule of thumb of how they wanted flour, but some people like finer flour, some people like coarser flour. It depends what kind of bread or cake you're baking. So sometimes you'd have a customer that would go, do me a favor, I want it twice as thin as your normal rule of thumb. That's what I would say. Okay. These guys ain't ready. So we've got our London high sweep, rips it back down. Let's get this stuff back up here. Oh, you're good, and you're good too. Just amazing. You just sometimes gotta take a second to appreciate the Friday close level. It's just quite amazing, man. Always mark that out on your charts, folks. Friday's close. Previous week's close. So important. All right. Any other questions about anything? Could be whatever you want. Order blocks, fair value gaps, market structure, Fibonacci's, EMAs, anything. We'll go over. Then I'm going to go to my trading station and see if I can whack out a long on the NASDAQ today. Would love to see it come down and test the daily open. That would be so nice. Not overly expecting it, but I would like to see it take out some London low here. I know that it's already taken this one, but I want to see one of these get taken out before I start to make up my mind about anything. Now, the other thing again, today could be one of these days where they really are looking to accumulate positions, right? This is one of the things you have to be very aware of when you have a massive move down like this. You know, have they gotten what they want in terms of position fills? So we might just kind of rock around here, come back in, hit the previous day's close level, maybe not come down to the previous day's low, and we might just put in a nice little inside bar day today, right? And that would prime us for tomorrow having an explosive move, most likely to the upside. All right, on Bitcoin, different story because we have swept a previous day's level. So bit of a different story here. We swept the previous day's low, so we are not looking to go up too much higher. But having said that, we could still put in a range for the rest of the day here, or we might be looking to put in some lower price here. Right, and for those of you in the Discord, that's what we were talking about on Wednesday, right? After we had broken the initial bounce to the downside, it's most likely that we're not going to be looking for all-time highs, and we will be looking to trade more towards the lows, right? Questions about swing trading. Do you know / use H1 shift, H4 shift in terms of market structure shift you're talking? So when I swing trade personally, the way I swing trade is I have certain levels that I'm looking at, all right? So this was a big level that we hit into this low yesterday, right? So huge level. So what I start to do is to look at the really low time frames, and that's where I start, because what I would rather do for a swing trade is I almost start all my trades like day trades or scalps. That's the way I do it, right? So when you see price come down, hit into a big level that you've got on your radar, right? There's a lot of stuff here where we hit. Right now, unfortunately, I was sleeping, so I didn't take it. But let's just have a peek at the market structure then. And again, I'll just hide all of this stuff so we don't. Okay. So what I would do on the higher time frames is look for confirmation that my trade is going well. All right. So we come in, we hit into this level. You get a big reaction here, and you get a really nice bullish candle here. It does engulf the previous candle's body. I was really looking at the chart when it happened, but dare not take any position in case it goes down further. Yeah, that's a very responsible thing to do, and I think that's really what you want to do. Like, you want to watch reaction, right? So market structure is going to change first on the lower time frames, right? So they're not quite as valid. I'll grant you that, but if you treat it as a scalp, you know, you don't necessarily have to get your whole position size. And if you're looking to swing trade with a large portion of margin, you really don't have to get in right away with all of that, right? So again, we come into a big zone here. There's a lot of stuff here. Golden pockets, single prints. There's an old order, not an old order block. There is an order block. There's all kinds of stuff in here. Price reacts really nicely to it, right? So takes out that high, right? We've got low, high. We've got a internal low, high, and price takes it out, right? So that's a good sign, but this is just an internal low here. Sorry, internal high. From here's your lower low, lower high, internal low, internal high, breaks that, right? There's also a lot of stuff happening here, right? So again, if we look at this fair value gap, price does not care about it at the slightest. There's no reaction to it. So you start to get a sense that the bulls are starting to wake up a little bit. All right. And then you get in this cute little M formation, which might sucker some more bears into this because they might see this. And I know we're only on the 1 minute, but a lot of people trade on the 1 minute time frame, right? That's what really moves the market, is the lower time frame traders. When I say really moves the market, I mean like continuously, right? It's the low time frame guys. The scalpers are the guys that are constantly pushing these little tiny moves up and down, right? And then price comes back, and we do get a decent reaction off of this fair value gap candle, right? So it's decent. It's not great, but it is decent. And you start to see that bears are now being disrespected and the bulls are being somewhat respected. All right, and then price comes down. We take out the previous low. So now we put in a new lower low. And this now becomes our high. This now becomes our low, right? But this is a very decent looking W potentially. All right, so you don't have to trade it, right? But you start to see this stuff happening, and you start to think to yourself, oh, there might be something here. So then price comes up. Again, we've got fair value gap here. Price pushes up. This is a very strong candle. You don't get much reaction to it. And then the next candle does a little pullback and disrespects it fully again. So at that point, you start to get these mixed messages in this zone here, right? So the bears are no longer just forcing price down the way they want. The bulls are stepping in on the 1 minute time frame. And you can start thinking about this potentially as an actual W here. And this would be an apex that you might want to see how price reacts here, right? How do the kids say it today? How it moves, you know? So as you're seeing this, all right? Price then comes back down, hits into this fair value gap candle, which this is a horrible fair value gap, right? But it does close really strongly. You do have a big order block down here. It's a real weird order block. It'd be very tough to mark this out, I would have to say. All right, I'd probably mark it out something like that, but you might want to refine it to go old school on it. And then here's your fair value gap. And then here's another fair value gap. And so price now comes down, takes out this fair value gap candle, and then you get this crazy bullish engulfing. So if you are a very good price action trader, this is the sign, right? This is not necessarily the sign because you've still got all of this stuff here. And here now, there's nothing bearish here to stop us anymore, right? There's no fair value gaps. There's nothing here that we should be afraid of anymore. Whereas after this candle, we still have this fair value gap candle to take out. All right, yeah, the fair value gap got taken, but this candle is still very relevant. Pardon me. I would say that heavily regarding our previous conversation about fair value gaps. When you see a fair value gap, you know, don't just think of the fair value gap, right? It's this whole candle, right? You can see it opened up and it just started selling off, right? There's no wick to the upside, nothing. So it's just a powerhouse bear candle, right? No wick, no wick. It's just pure selling. So we want to be relatively aware of that, right? So we get this first hit into the fair value gap, pushes back, comes back in, retest that candle, all right? So you're starting to knock it all about, but you still need to be very careful with this candle, all right? Flat candle, yeah, flat candles, what we call shaved bottoms and shaved tops. All right, a bearish candle with a shaved top bottom is very, it's very powerful. All right, especially if it looks like this. You know, this is a bearish engulfing with a shaved bottom. There was no pushback from the bulls, right? And the same thing is true about these kinds of candles here. All right, shaved top, bullish candle with a shaved top, very powerful. But if this happens, you know, you could be looking to aggressively get in here because, again, we do want to be careful about this candle. But other than that, there's nothing really here that we should be fearing in terms of price action. So if you hop in on that, I couldn't fault you. That's a trade that I would be happy to take. And then this is a trade that I would love to take. All right, so I'd be happy to take that, but I'd love to take this because it's the same concept, shaved top. Right, you've got fair value gaps beneath you that are going to work as support. So if you're going to put your stop loss below this low, it's a bit of a big stop loss, but you know, you can't have everything in life. It's not the way life works. So pretty big stop loss, but that's just the way it is, man. So again, shave top, you've broken the apex here. Be prepared for a pullback to retest the apex of that potential W, and off you go. All right. If you really wanted to be very risk management aware, you could definitely put a very tight stop loss on this. I wouldn't recommend that on Bitcoin, but you know, if you're really averse to a 0.75% stop loss, you could tighten it up, but I wouldn't do it because you've left a lot of imbalance here, right? So price may definitely come back here and give this stuff a quick hit. All right, so that's where I'd be looking to get in on the 1 minute time frame, let's say, right? That's my perfect entry on this. And when I'm saying this, I'm only talking about price action, market structure. We're not looking at EMAs. We're not looking at anything else. This would be a fantastic place to get in on a position that I probably would not be able to turn up. So I'll just tell you why. All right, if you couldn't figure it out, 0.5, you're at the bottom of this very bullish candle here. It was a fair value gap candle, right? So I like that a lot. And now you're at the low of that candle, price sucks back up. So, but neither here nor there, because now we're talking about other things as well. So now that you've gotten in, right, you can start to switch up to like your 15-minute time frame, right? And now you see you've put in a low, a high, a lower low, a lower high, a higher low, and a higher high, right? As soon as you break this. So from that point is when I start to move up, and I really wouldn't go to the 5. I'd start looking at the 15-minute. Okay, so that's where we've gotten in, right around there. Okay, now we've definitely taken out this high, and now we're coming down to put in a hopefully higher low, right? So again, the process just starts again now on the higher time frames, and you're looking to build your position, right? So we're going to look for fair value gap, order block, the huge order block. This is a liquidity sweep so far that we've done. Huge reaction. If we go down on the lower time frames and we just mark this zone out right here, just do something like that. Oh. And we can go back down maybe on the 5 and just see what's going on around here. Nothing. It's the same story. Fair value gap, golden pocket. Down on the 1. Not much. Not much happening there. You could, some people will argue this is a base. So you got a rally, base, rally. I would not argue that. I'd say it's not. But it's definitely a little pivot. All right. This is one of those things that I love to see. Those of you guys that see me mark out my line chart, support and resistance. Like, I love these zones, man. Love these little guys. So if I'm aggressively looking for zones, this is the kind of stuff I mark out constantly. All right. I'm not looking for it to be a support and resistance zone yet, but this is basically a rally, base rally, right? But I find that these little zones hold very well when price comes back to revisit them. All right. And then again, here it doesn't stop it. Doesn't look like we've hit, but we've definitely hit. We've probably wicked through it actually. Yeah. So there you go. Price comes in, starts rounding off. That's a definite zone of interest. Okay, now would I take this trade? No, I would wait for price to move away and show me what's going on. We've got this golden pocket here still. It's very interesting. Below us, we've got the apex. It still might come back and give that a retest. Right? So that's the way I would treat it. All right. I would be looking at things on the 15-minute, but trading back down to the 1-minute, right? Then as price develops and it moves away, I'd look out to the 1 hour. Okay, which is going to look much like the 15 right now because we've only really put in a move here. And look to see what happens here. So right now, we have put in a low, high, lower low, higher high. Potentially a higher low, and I would look for this to at least pull off some sort of a 2-legged pullback from this zone here, all right? And that would also be more on like the 15-minute to the 1 hour time frame that I'd be looking for that to happen. So that's how I would do it, all right? And just keep moving up time frames, right? The further that price starts moving away, because if you look at this on like a 4-hour chart right now, it's not really going to look like much. See, it just looks like a low and a high, and now we could be potentially putting in a lower low, right? So if we wait for this to develop on the 4-hour chart, And it does turn around here, which there's no guarantee this is done, right? Like if you look on the 4 hour, it's still screaming short me. But on the 1 minute chart, it's screaming this is a good scalp, right? So you get in there, start building that position up. And then if this holds and turns around now, we can look to take advantage of that and keep building the position up, right? Take some profit, build the position up with every single pullback until finally you're looking at the daily chart and you've got a position that you've started building up from like 48K, let's say, or something, and we're at 100,000. Hope that makes sense. Join the Discord, guys. Link is in the chat. All right. I was literally looking at the chart when it happened, but there not yet. Yeah, that's when I thought to ask you about market structure shift. Yeah, I started on the real low time frames personally, but it also depends on your availability, right? So I pretty much spend as much time as I want looking at the chart. So I'm on it a couple hours a day. I can set alerts, walk away, and then as soon as the alert hits, I can come to my computer screen, check things out. So here we are now into that golden pocket. So I would say that, yeah, depends on your availability, depends on what you're comfortable with. Do you have the time to sort of build up a position, or do you want to get in there relatively quickly? Then you might want to wait for a 1 hour shift. Very detailed walkthrough. Thanks. You are very welcome, sir. Very welcome. And I'm assuming you're a sir, but my bad. We're not supposed to assume people's genders anymore, although I'm not sure now that Trump is president what's happening with that either. But anyways, we're not going to get into that. So yeah, you really showcase how to make good use of every time frame and link them up to each trading style. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's kind of the key, right? Like zoom in, zoom out, look around, get your bearings kind of on all time frames, right? Because that's really one of the big things about market structure too, is that they're often in conflict with each other, right? So you've got bullish market structure on the 4 hour and bearish market structure on the 1 hour. So, you know, I finally feel my TradingView premium version is getting more useful now. Yeah. Yeah, it is pretty useful. Pretty useful. Premium is definitely necessary. Pro's not bad, but there will come a point where you need to start beefing it up a bit. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, smash that like button, join the Discord, hop on in. I was only looking at daily and weekly in the past to buy and sell on spot bag. Yeah, and that's fine too, right? If you're looking, you know, if you're just hodling, then that's a perfect way to do things. The perfect way to do things, right? Because why would you get in on a 1 minute chart if you're in it for the long haul, right? And that's the big difference between trading and investing, but it's also the big difference between, you know, day traders and swing traders, right? If you're a swing trader purely, then you're going to be looking at the bigger time frames. The reason I swing trade the way I do, which is to take advantage of the lower time frames, is really because of the stop loss, right? So if you're entering on a daily chart, then your stop loss is generally going to be pretty large. So I'd rather tone that down as much as possible. Also take out some profit quickly, which the 1 minute chart, the 3 minute chart will allow you to do, and carry on. Oh, there it goes. Look at that. I missed it. I missed my baby NASDAQ trade. There it was. So comes down, sweeps the London lows, turns back around. Very nice. Now, I haven't missed it yet. Come back down, retest the Asia high, and maybe keep going. Hodling probably works better for stock. Crypto makes me wake up in the night. For example, last night. Yeah, yeah. I think hodling for crypto works really, really well, but you have to be in the crypto space when everybody hates crypto. That's the big difference, right? So when Bitcoin is at like 20K, 18K, you've got to be looking at it and thinking to yourself, all right, this is a good time to buy. Might go down to 9K, might go down to 10K, but I'm going to start buying in now, and then I'll DCA on the way down, and then for the next, yeah, only BTC. Yeah, I wouldn't do that with meme coins personally, but um, if if like when I started trading Bitcoin, I got into it a little bit more, like into the crypto world, right? So I was looking at the projects. I was, that's why I bought things like ADA and Sol, and had little bags of stuff. Because trading it was a bit different, right? So I was trading Forex before I traded crypto. So when I started trading crypto, it was just a little bit weird. It was like, okay, it's pretty crazy. You really just traded Bart Simpson patterns. So like really weird M's and W's. That was it. Stuff like, like this, the Bart Simpson. Yeah, even ETH. Yeah, I would agree. I'd agree. And ETH, like so as one thing that I think that maxis kind of lose sight of, which is really weird because they know more about it than anyone else for the most part, is that this stuff is just technology, right? So if ETH doesn't really kind of aggressively compete with new things that are coming out, new innovations, ETH is going to get left in the dust, right? But everybody will tell you that ETH is gonna eclipse Bitcoin. Not everybody, but a lot of people will say some really weird stuff about it, and it's like that's not really the way technology works, Like, just look at tech companies that because that's what these are basically. These are like tech company stocks, right? But they're a little bit different. But as technology progresses, the older stuff is going to get left in the dust, and that's just the way it works. Because as a you know, if you are working in the ETH space, right? It's going to be harder to get stuff done than it is in new projects because new projects they don't have that cumbersome management. They don't have all of the bureaucracy incorporated in them yet, and they're just going to be slower, right? It's like General Electrics versus some new very highly competitive company, like some of the Korean companies when they started competing with General Electric, they just started crushing them because their product was more innovative, and they were much less expensive. So people just gravitate towards that stuff, right? So that's just my take on it, right? That's not, don't take it to the bank or anything, but that's just the way I see that space personally, right? And that's doesn't mean I'm right, just means that's the way I kind of see it. So might just buy let's see, Mag 7 and Sleep with Peace. Yeah. I think the key is to sleep in peace. Yeah. If you're waking up, it's because you're putting too much money into something, You gotta, if you wake up in the middle of the night, check the charts. It's, yeah, too much. All right. Anyhow, I am gonna go try to catch my long here, see if it pans out. Still would love to see this hit the daily open. Let's see if it comes down here. We now have a potential two-legged pullback too, all the way down to around the daily previous day's close. That would be fantastic. Let's see if it works. Bitcoin, take just a quick look here. Oh, Bitcoin lost that golden pocket. So the narrative of sweeping the previous day's low looks like it could be playing out, and Bitcoin might be looking to move lower even. Nice. Nice, cheaper Bitcoin. Yay, good times. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Hit the like button. 13. That's very weak, but I understand. I understand. Okay, I will see you guys tomorrow, same time. Again, join the Discord. If you've got any questions and you want some detailed explanations, hit the Discord. We're always in there yapping away, and anybody who asks questions is always given a response. So thank you so much. See you tomorrow, guys. Be safe and be careful out there. Take care.